The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go in back to the cat calls. See what we got here.
Cover me for a minute.
Yo, what's up, C3? It's JJ. Coming back at y'all with another call. You already know how I love calling y'all. But I just remember how this past Friday free for all, I mentioned, Brian Burns is better than Hassan Reddick, and I'm gonna stand on that. Because he plays the harder position. Um, even though maybe he was two sacks short from when they were playing on the same team. That doesn't necessarily mean Hassan Reddick was the better player. It just means he might have had the better or more productive season. That doesn't necessarily mean you're always the better player. But I mentioned Brian Burns made the Pro Bowl over Hassan Reddick, and another dude in the Friday Food for All said Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl this year. Well, first of all, none of the initial Pro Bowl starters were going to the Pro Bowl for the AFC quarterback. But that's besides the point. All of us Panther fans know damn well the Carolina Panthers and their players get zero credit. They never get the recognition they truly deserve. They never
Who
do.
didn't get it?
DJ Moore, Frankie Louvu, J.C. Horn, they're all underrated in comparison to the rest of the league. They never get that kind of credit.
Well,
So
he
the
answered.
one player who does get that credit, we're going to discredit him? I don't know
Oh,
who it
Brian
was
Burns
who
is
said that in the
okay.
Friday Free For All. I think it might have been White Chocolate. But no, bro. We're not going to discredit Brian Burns for his accomplishments and being the one player on our team that actually gets some recognition because he's a star in the making. Like, come on. Let's show some respect. All right. Love the podcast, C3. Use code C3.
I think the thing I take away from that is that we don't have to disparage Brian Burns to compliment Hassan Reddick, and we don't
No.
need to disparage Hassan Reddick to compliment Brian Burns. I do think this is that Reddick is one of those players that has overperformed, exceeded his expectations at his last two stops here and the Eagles. He has played. We got him on such a cheap deal last year too. He was like nothing. He didn't cost anything. He played for us relatively for free in comparison to what he put up. He has outproduced guys. But he's made his shit. Sonreddick's good. Sonreddick's good. I don't know. I'm not even in love with Brian Burns. I'm not even a super Brian Burns defender, but I don't feel like I have to detract from me either. He's one of those guys like this is that like I hate talking junk about the best players on my team.
Yeah.
Is that at the end of the day, is that yeah, I can talk junk I mean, like but he's still like better than the
Yeah,
other
but we're also not
10 guys
necessarily.
out there.
So one, we're not necessarily talking junk either. We're talking about Reddick and him moving on and what caused us to move on from him. But that meant that this season was even more impressive for Brian Burns. That he had a career high in sacks, and literally every team that we went up against knew that Brian Burns was the only pass rush that we had. Tony, our second in sacks was Frankie Louvu at number 5. So they were doubling, they were double teaming Brian Burns all the time. And Tony, how many years in a row now have we mentioned how many near misses Brian Burns has every season? Where if he's just one step closer or one step to the left or right on a certain particular play at a certain particular time, and he could have had another 5 sacks every single season. His potential is up with the very highest pass rushers in the
Who's
NFL.
Are you still
Brian
saying
Burns.
that? Are you
I do
still saying that?
1000%.
Oh my
I
gosh.
want that. I
Can I
don't
make a
think that.
can I make a
I
controversial
don't. I
point?
don't believe that. For example, T.J. Watt is some type of player that is just levels
You're
ahead
crazy.
of
Yes, he
Brian
is.
Burns. I disagree. I disagree.
His production alone, what he's already done has been levels above.
And that's the
Let me
conversation
tell
with
you this.
Burns. A lot of people feel that he hasn't lived up to his potential. But he has
I
gotten
th-
better every single year.
Here's a hot take for you. Looking back at this year for Brian Burns, is it that much of a better year than he's had the last 3 years before it? Like you look
Yeah,
back at that.
I
Okay, so
do.
yeah, no, you're just gonna look at just the sack statistic only.
And pressures. He was one
Do
of
you
the top
just think
5 in pressures.
just remembering back into this season? Do you think it was anything much better? Like significantly? So you think his this past year
Better
he's
than
like
who?
really stepped up in comparison? I think he was pretty good the first 3 years or whatever.
Yeah, but
Like so,
this
I
year
would
was
say he's
by
pretty
far his
good. I would
best.
say he was a little bit better this year.
But again, when you add in all the other circumstances, he was our primary pass
Always all
rusher,
this.
and it was a secret to no one. He was the guy, and yet he still put up as many sacks as he did. Imagine if the Panthers,
Thought you said Luvu was the guy.
but that's my point. That's a problem. If your outside linebacker in a 4-3 defense is number 2 on your team in sacks, that's an issue because that means it's nobody else on your defensive line. We're not getting enough pressure on the line. And when we do, it's always Brian Burns.
This is Joseph Broach. I'm with you. Joseph Broach. This is exactly it. Is that he's been good. He's been important to our team. I hate talking junk about the players who are actually the most talented on my actual team. But we are, as Joseph said, go back to that comment one back before, is we are going into his 5th season and we're still waiting on potential. We're still waiting on the more to come. The Brian Burns to turn it on, as he points. Michael Igwe says he's already turned it on. Okay, so that's the turn it on then. Is he at the, the close
He's
to the
all by
apex
himself.
of his powers?
Yeah, so
Okay.
all
right.
by
All right,
myself.
elite. He is, and I've been asking this. Do the Carolina Panthers have any? And I haven't asked it tonight, but do we have any superstars? And are you guys confident? Those people that says he's already turned it on. I mean, are you confident that he is a superstar? Does he count, and is he classified as a superstar? Is he not getting the credit, as the caller was saying before? The Carolina Panthers not getting the credit. I think he's getting. I think the Panther fans give him plenty of credit. I think they give him plenty of grace. And you guys keep telling me he's going to be the best. And I hope he is. I hope he is. And now especially. And I hope he's the best as a Carolina Panther, because if we just let him walk and he becomes the best, then I'm going to be really fucking
How about
pissed.
this? Do you think that you've seen everything that Brian Burns is capable of? Do you think there's a better pass rusher in there, or is that just him?
I just wonder if it's incrementally. No, is that like, if that's my question is can he be a dominant player? It's not just being a good pass rusher. It's about being like great in all phases. You know what I'm saying? Is that can he get 15 sacks in a season? Yeah. But can he also be an every down defensive end who's not alive, like who is doing all the things? I don't know. Is that this? I would say he's been good. He has been very good. I don't know if I would say he has been like what do you classify as, like, can he become the star of the league, like a Von Miller level player? I don't know. That's pretty high.
And again, if we don't have a DeMarcus Ware on this football team, there's no Nick Chubb on this football team opposite Brian Burns. And I like what Michael Igwe says here: top 10 in sacks, top 5 in pressures, top 5 in tackle for losses. What else do you want him to do? It only doesn't seem, and he played through injuries this year. So the only reason why Brian Burns doesn't seem more impressive is because he's a one-man army. He's a one-man army. We're almost expecting too much of him.
I agree, and I'm fine with that. But you guys keep telling me he's going to be this, like, you throw names out like the Bosas. It might as well call him, be like, oh, he's going to be, what is this, ceiling Myles Garrett? I don't think it's that.
Even Bosa, they have dudes on that team.
True.
If it's not Bosa, they're not. Yes, Bosa is their main pass rusher, but they are not dependent upon Bosa. The Panthers are dependent upon Brian Burns for a consistent pass rush. That's the
If
difference.
any, yeah, the only pass rush. I agree with that 1000%.
Yeah, 100.
I'm not sure. All right, let's go to the next goal.
Yo, 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 yo. What it do, C3? Anthony from Charlotte. Hope y'all boys are having a good Tuesday.
What up, Anthony?
Just a couple thoughts here. I didn't call in last week. Been really hella busy, but want to get down to the business first. I want to congratulate Steve Wilkes for the DC job. I think this is a situation kind of like RDC. You know, he may leave after next year to get that head coaching position so we could get some draft compensation. Great coach. As you guys know, my opinion is on Steve Wilkes. I wanted him as the head coach. So going on the quarterback and, you know, what's going on with the team right now, I'm one of those guys where I personally, I do want to trade up. I'm a big CJ Stroud guy and Bryce Young, but, you know, Bryce Young is my number one, but just based on what all the talk is right now and how he may fall in the draft, you know, I don't think he fits what Reich wants. You guys talked about this last week with the height, and I think it really does mean a lot. Like, I don't think Reich wants a smaller QB. So if you're going to trade up, I hope it's CJ Stroud. But if we don't trade up, I'm not going to be mad, man. You know, like, in my opinion, I do like Derek Carr a lot. I think he's the definition of consistency. I think he's been with a trash organization. So if Reich was to sign a QB, fine, like a Derek Carr. But this is where it comes in for me. If you're going to sign Derek Carr, you still need a backup option. Shout out to Tony. He said this last week. You know, if Reich's going to sell this to Tepper, then there's got to be a backup plan for later down the line. Carr's 32, so he's probably got like 3 good years left, in my opinion, 3 or 4. I still think you need to take a flyer on a QB. I like all the hires we've made. You know, the DC, awesome hire for our scheme. And, you know, we'll get that offensive coordinator soon, but I think Reich's going to be calling majority of the plays, which I'm happy about. And I think that's part of the reason that he was brought in here, in case the OC doesn't know what he's doing in some situations, so Reich can take over if he has to. But yeah, you know, those are my thoughts on the situation. It's draft season. I just can't wait for the draft. And yeah, man, Anthony from Charlotte, give me y'all's thoughts on the quarterback position and, you know, how you like the direction of this team going. Anthony from Charlotte, keep.
Unmute. The quarterback situation.
Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. The quarterback, great name, by the way. The quarterback situation will continue to dominate the Carolina Panthers discussion until it doesn't at this point. I mean, look, as we knew what we got up here maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, Cody, and I was like, what do we talk about? And you were like, I mean, I wasn't saying like, oh, we can't, I don't know anything to talk about. It was like, what else can we talk about is the head coach until we get a head coach. And then after that, the quarterback after you get the head coach. Like, that's just everything else is going to be so dependent upon that. And you're kind of wondering about that bridge quarterback. Do you get a rookie? Do you trade up? All of these things that we've talked about a lot earlier. The thing, though, is that when I say a bridge quarterback, he was saying, good Lord, 3 and 4 good years. That must be the best case scenario. Think about this, is Matt Stafford, who everybody thought was way better than Carr, is already hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, they got a 1 year, he's done in this way. Is that maybe he's not done, but that's how it almost feels. Carr's nowhere is I would be fine with it for like a year, but you would have to get Stroud too. Like, and I don't know, you can substitute any name here. But as I started to look even more into it, here's the problem. He's just fucking expensive, dude. And
2 is
the Raiders have to trade him, and if they don't trade him, they're going to lose some money. But either way, Carr is going to get paid like $30 million.
Oh yeah, that dude's laughing all the way to the bank.
Think about that, $30 million. And he could be like another Sam Darnold here.
Would you rather play with him this entire year or play against him this entire year?
Because he's meeting with the Saints.
Yeah, Ian Rappaport says the Saints invited quarterback Derek Carr for a visit, and the Raiders have granted permission for that to happen. The plan is for a visit tomorrow. Carr has a no-trade clause, is doing his due diligence, and no trade is imminent. When Dennis Allen was the Raiders head coach, he inserted a highly touted rookie into the starting lineup in 2014. That player was Derek Carr.
You're going to hate me.
All right, go ahead.
Is that if this is for somebody who has actually been open to the idea of Carr being a quarterback for a team temporarily, honestly, I think I'd rather have Jameis Winston than him. And Jameis Winston's coming from the Saints. Like, you know what? If that's what we're going to do, if we're just going to bring in a guy to get us through a year, fuck paying Derek Carr $34 million at this point. Give me unintentionally funny, the most funniest person in the world, Jameis Winston. Is Jameis Winston any less of an accomplished quarterback than Derek Carr? And I would say no. He just throws more picks.
I would say Derek has probably reached higher highs. But
really?
if you're even making that comparison, that's how you know it's the wrong move in the first place, man. I would rather play against Derek Carr than to play with him on my team. I don't know, man. He doesn't do it for me, dude. I feel like I have seen Derek Carr in big moments shit the bed almost every single time. In the biggest moments, he'll throw these dumb interceptions, like right to the defender. He's not very mobile, so he's going to be very dependent upon the protection. And I know every quarterback.
Here's where I challenge you on that. Is you haven't seen him make big mistakes in big moments. He ain't even been in big moments. That's the real problem. Is he's done those in moments, but like they have been irrelevant for his entire time that he has been the quarterback.
They've had
what he's just gonna become relevant now?
They've made the playoffs before, and he has come close.
He's never had a playoff win.
He's made the playoffs? When they played the Chargers, I believe it was last year.
No, they did. Did they make the playoffs last year?
Came down to the last game of the season between them and the Chargers.
Right, and they did the stupid thing where they could have tied, and they both not the stupid thing, but they just went ahead and won it. Has he ever had a playoff win?
No way. Off the top of my head, I don't believe so.
They've been irrelevant. So as I agree with your point, I'm agreeing with that can make him making mistakes in moments, but I'm saying Jameis
has never done that either. So again, it's like,
has Jameis never been to?
You're in no man. If you're deciding between those two, you're in no man's land. I only marginally. I know,
but Jameis would be like $5 million.
Yeah, still, man, just for a couple of yucks, when he makes a dumb joke or says something stupid in an interview, like, nah, that's not enough for me, man. I want good ass football.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying is that if it's Derek Carr or Jameis Winston, is there really that big of a difference in your expectation for the future?
I don't know, man.
I don't think so. I think it's just another guy. He's a jag, just another guy. But how about this? Look, he's a name that people are interested in right now. Jameis Winston's a forgotten man. He's completely forgotten. I don't even know what's happened to him.
Andy Dalton beat him out. He was hurt, and then when he was healthy, they decided Dalton gave them a better chance than
somebody else's stock has risen though. Strangely, Derek Carr is going to make more money than everybody in a sense, and his stock isn't even gone up or down. It's just been meh. Daniel Jones, bro. The Daniel Jones is going to hit free agency, or he's hitting free. He's in a kind. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. The Giants just had their best season in like almost 6 or 7 years, something like that. And he was very good late in the season and into the playoffs. Like he has the leverage here. Imagine the New York Giants. What do the Giants have to sign him? And we're talking about Derek Carr, $32 million. Derek Carr is if you traded for Derek Carr, you have to pay $32 million. We haven't paid. We probably have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and for the last 5 years, I haven't paid half of that.
And by the way, this means that the Saints are willing to give up whatever is required for Derek Carr if they want him, because they're not going to let him go to a team that isn't going to be willing to match the compensation that they want in a trade. So
no, the Raiders will trade him for anything, dude, because they can't bring him back and they don't want to pay him anything. So
how about this? I hope Derek Carr goes to New Orleans. I hope it happens.
Daniel Jones, though. That's what I want to know. Is like $38 million. Think about that. Daniel Jones.